The Elestriad is almost over, with Team Kryoscorches just one win away from claiming victory over their opponents. The Imperawats cannot afford to lose another game. What is up, guys? Mike Thomas, aka the Young Trishula here, and we are so back to commentate what is possibly the penultimate match of the entire Elestriad. Today, we will be finding out if the Imperawats' incredible reverse sweep will finally be put to an end. Can captain of Team Kryoscorches' DistantCoder prevent the Imperawats' very own ShadyPenguinn, Mr. ShadyPenguinn himself, from tying up the score before the season's final match? And while us casters are eagerly awaiting to find out which of our teams will qualify for Elestriad Season 2 Finals, I am even more excited about the upcoming core set for Elestrals, Daybreak, which is available right now for pre-order on shopelestrals.com, where you can find some very powerful new runes and Elestrals to power up your Elestrals deck. Much like how for the very last time this season, today's casters will be opening some new packs to power up their deck and see if it can get just that little boost that they need to get their team to the finish line. Let's see what they pull. ShadyPenguinn starts things off with a bang, finding a Dratagua, leaving him excited for a potential pivot to the powerful water engine that we have seen dominate this Elestriad season. He quickly follows this up with a full art Keon, which unfortunately, due to the rules of Elestriad, he won't be able to play. Worry not about his pulls though, as he quickly finds the very playable Chains of Prometheus shortly after. DistantCoder, on the other hand, also aims to complete his water strategy going into the final clash of his season, finding the very critical Galaxy, and caps things off with an Altar of the Stars, a powerful defensive rune to add to his already impressive counter rune lineup. Will any of these pulls be enough to tip the scales in their caster's favor? Let's find out what they brought.
As far as my game plan this week against Coder, I am going to try to play the early and mid game a bit slower while I build my pieces in hand. If I can build either double Exalt Flare with a Waspire and a Hephaestus and then a Chariot, that will be like, I think it's like 12 damage that I'm able to burn for by going Exalt Flare, Nexus off of Hephaestus, go for an Exalt Flare, Nexus off of Hephaestus, then I have a Waspire on the board with like 7 spirits on it. So that can disenchant 5 of them, that'll do 10. And then if you have any Ignectors on the board, if I need more damage, each one of them can disenchant for 2 a pop. So if I have 2 of them, that's another 4 damage, that's 14 damage. And hopefully in the mid game, that's enough to just seal the deal.
After a devastating loss to Bean Soldier last week due to a well-timed tsunami, it seems that ShadyPenguinn has decided to switch things up. While he is once again opting to end the clash in a single decisive turn by taking advantage of cards like Helios' Chariot Ride and Exalt Flare, it seems that his method of securing victory has changed. No longer wishing to rely on the battle phase to secure a win, Shady instead is opting to use the rarely seen Waspire in hopes of finishing the games in a rapid burst of burn damage. Coder also decides to switch things up this week, abandoning the Morfrost strategy he initially set out to build in the early weeks of the Elestriad in favor of the efficiency provided by the 5-guy strategy that has dominated the Elestriad thus far. While his list might appear standard at first glance, Coder appears to be matching fire with fire, running 3 copies of his own Helios' Chariot Ride. As we have seen from the Imperawats in recent weeks, this counter rune has the ability to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. But will it be enough to combat Shady's ultimate strategy? Let's find out. Looks like Shady is going to be starting things off with a mulligan, which does not feel very good after finding out that Coder will be keeping his entire hand, and feels even worse when he starts things off by revealing 2 waters for a Nectar of the Gods. This already tips Shady off that Coder is probably on the water recovery engine with Dratagua that we have seen multiple times this season, and then feels even worse when Coder plays the second Nectar of the Gods, drawing another 2 cards on his first turn. We are already only 2 cards in, and now we see the Ass Trap at his row. We're 3 cards in, and Coder has now dug through his deck for 5 additional cards from his starting hand. He's effectively added an entire new starting hand to his starting hand. And unsurprisingly, he's going to be backing up this Ass Rabbit with a powerful defensive lineup with 3 face down cards. There's no way that they are not powerful. Shady's going to retaliate with his own Nectar of the Gods, and considering the fact that he drew for turn as well, he will only be down about 1 card in advantage, and he will also follow it up with an Ass Rabbit of his own. This ties up the caster's spirit counts already 15 to 15, already eliminating the disadvantage that Shady might have been at by mulliganing, but unfortunately Shady doesn't seem to have any back row to support this Ass Rabbit, which is not the position you want to be in. Seems like DistantCoder will be ascending the Ass Rabbit into a Sorlet. Kind of an interesting play, not sure why we wouldn't go wider here with no back row, but DistantCoder will just be playing that spirit off the Sorlet for the 3rd Nectar of the Gods. This is crazy. He's gone through all 3 of them, switches the rabbit to attack, and beats over it. His spirit count is looking pretty low right off the bat, but Shady's not in the best of positions because he has a completely blank board. Shady will be trying to even up the board by slamming down an Earthquake, removing the Sorlet from the field, but this is just keeping the spirit count very close to one another. This is a very scary game considering the fact that we have only been a couple turns in and both casters are down 8 spirits. Shady's going to be playing Galaxy Fire Enchanted in defense and setting 2 cards. Kind of an interesting play to just wall up on the Galaxy instead of going at the face towards DistantCoder, but this does seem to force out an Earthquake from DistantCoder, bringing him down even lower. This game getting very, very close very quickly. If neither caster has Ambrosias, things could already be almost over. We see DistantCoder cast out the small Tuga here and will search his deck for the Nekruff. Very strong play, especially if he has a Galaxy in hand to follow this up, and he will be swinging at Shady's face, bringing Shady down to the spirit count of 11. Shady is now going to be thinking here, and it seems he's looking through the back row, and he's going to be flipping up Helios's Chariot Ride. That tells us that he has his OTK combo in hand, but DistantCoder responds very quickly with his own Helios's Chariot Ride, saying, "Not today. I will not be getting OTK'd. It's happened to too many teammates. I'm not letting it happen again." And so Coder goes down to 7. Shady unable to cast any runes. Shady will just run out an Exalt Flare and beat over the small Tuga. Exalt Flare having that 3 stat line, really only being able to beat over pretty much exactly small Tuga in DistantCoder's deck, so being able to find value there is good, even though his OTK strategy seems to have gotten shut off. Coder will be running out the Nekruff, Fire Enchanted, and will be Earthquaking the Exalt Flare, bringing him down to only 4 spirits. This is a very risky position to be in for Coder, because we can assume that Shady has an OTK combo in hand, since he was willing to activate that Helios' Chariot Ride last turn. With that in mind, DistantCoder is going to be firing off the Ambrosia, trying to heal up, and will be returning to a respectable 6 spirits and punching in towards Shady to put him at 7. Hopefully Shady will not have enough to go for that OTK combo for DistantCoder to feel safe, but Shady will be activating an Ambrosia of his own, putting him back up to 9 spirits, potentially in range to go for that OTK combo. However, he is not protected by a Helios' Chariot Rides, and it looks like he is just going to be expending to draw, and he's just going to pass. So maybe Shady doesn't feel confident enough to go for the OTK line, or maybe he simply doesn't have it. Coder will be running out the Galaxy, swinging with both Nekruff and Galaxy, and placing a new card face down. This is quickly a game that was looking not too great for Coder a minute ago, is quickly looking to be completely in his control. Very, very scary position to be in for Shady, who is now down to 6 spirits, but has next to no cards on the field. So whatever is in Shady's hand has to be strong. He's going to be activating another Ambrosia, just trying to keep himself alive, returning himself to 8 spirits, getting back the 2 spirits that he just took, and the spirit that he used to cast the Ambrosia. And he will once again be expending to draw, just looking through his deck, looking for the OTK combo, playing another Ambrosia. All 3 Ambrosias from his deck have now been used, returning 3 fire, and Shady is just trying to stay alive here now. Coder's still at 5 spirits. He's going to commit another Elestral to the board, it seems, in the mouse station. And swinging 3 at Shady's face. This is a very scary position to be in for DistantCoder, because you can assume that if you are Coder, that Shady might have some kind of OTK combo in the back. But at this point, Coder's probably still expecting something like Blazerus. So he probably feels fine with his defensive back row. But Shady's going to run out the Exalt Flare, ask how many spirits in deck, and 4, and he is going to play the Hephaestus. Little does Coder know, you can see him smiling there, he doesn't quite know what is coming towards him right now. As Shady looks through the hand, maybe doing a little bit of math, down to only 3 spirits, he seems to be thinking he's going to Nexus both of his spirits off of Hephaestus and ascend into Waspire, using the effect of Waspire to burn the remaining spirits from Coder's spirit deck. Having no spirits left, there doesn't appear to be a Gorgon's Gaze, and then he'll activate the effect of Waspire one final time to burn for the game, and that's going to be it. Shady did manage to cling on in such a tight game. It seemed like it could go either way very quickly. Shady quickly losing control of the board, but Coder's simply having to spend too many spirits to get there and wrestle control of the game state. Unfortunately, is just not able to keep up with the burst damage from Shady's deck. Potentially, he might have had cards like the Shield of Achilles or Tsunami in the back row that would have kept him alive had Shady been playing Blazerus, but Shady's decision to switch to the burn strategy with Waspire seems to have been the correct one. Congrats to Shady, and we will see you all tomorrow in the final match of Elestriad to decide which team will be going to finals in this 24-24 tiebreaker finale.